Welcome back to the Live for Life podcast. I'm here with G-Dog. G-Dog, how are you this evening?
I'm already a bit sore. So, as the watchers and listeners can see, we're in our new studio because our old studio, our normal studio, has been seconded by Love Island. So I had to get a specific voicemail message from Angus today warning me not to gate crash the Love Island studio because they didn't want the dog in it. And so we're now in our new studio, which is very, very cozy, actually. But it means that I'm sitting in a different position to usual. And we were having a big debate as to whether I should cross my leg or be a bit sort of different in my seated style. And so we decided crossing legs is a good idea, but my mobility is not what I would have hoped for. And so my leg is already quite sore. And the microphone is very close to me and I feel slightly imprisoned.
The thought that's gone into also the fit as well. You're a bit concerned about the angle of the seat, aren't you?
Yeah, because we had our London School of Economics big G moment where my jumper ballooned out, making it look like I had a beer gut. I think we're avoiding that this time.
You're doing very well. Keep tensing.
I'm tensing so much I can barely speak.
But yeah, it's been a lot of preparation into this studio, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Because
I'm nervous that the people are listening to us on Apple can't see the video, and so this is a bit meaningless.
Well, they'll have to go onto YouTube.
They'll have to go to YouTube or Spotify, yeah.
Absolutely. But any other news, G-Dog? Anything exciting?
Well, my new training regime is progressing wonderfully, actually. So we will remember that a few weeks ago we had Dumbbell Gate, where I uploaded a video recorded by my friend Imran in my gym, where Angus spotted that I was lifting suboptimal weights. And other fans were also criticizing me as well, saying that I looked like I was in a rest period rather than training because the weights are so light.
RPE5 was the comment that kept going around. So we've changed that, haven't we?
Yes.
After I went ballistic, we have now decided that G-Dog now has to train till failure and not pitter-patter around this training till mild discomfort. And it's fair to say it's already making a difference, isn't it?
Training to mild discomfort. Yes. So now I'm training to extreme discomfort. And I must admit, in my office gym in particular, many of my colleagues have asked me what's going on.
Fantastic.
Because my teeth are permanently gritted as I'm lifting the weights.
But you did say it makes you feel alpha was the word
It does.
used.
Today, less alpha. Yesterday, very alpha. I don't know why I didn't feel as alpha today. I think it's the chest and biceps session yesterday that made me feel very alpha. Today was more leggy.
What day was the day one?
Oh, it's back, biceps, and lats.
Chest, back, and biceps.
Chest, back, and biceps.
And what was
right.
today's one?
Today was legs and arms. It was push presses, but
legs,
also
shoulders,
barbell
and
back squats.
triceps.
Okay, legs, shoulders, and triceps. Yeah, you're not putting it on the thing, so I don't know.
Because I'm trying. You just try and educate yourself slightly. Use a little bit of initiative.
Yeah. But anyway, so my training session today was great. And obviously I got a massive pump, and this training to failure is really getting me on the pump. But yesterday was particularly awesome. Obviously, as Angus knows, today I had less sleep. Yesterday I had more sleep, so that's why I felt more alpha. So yeah.
Sleep is vital, isn't it, G-Dog?
Sleep does appear to be vital.
And I was a bit concerned, guys, that I sent a very enthusiastic message to G-Dog before this podcast, and I got the standard okay back. He seems to be quite stressed at times, so I don't know how
I happen to have a job, and therefore I happen to be at work sometimes when Angus sends me messages, and I happen to be in meetings or busy, therefore respond okay.
Yeah, and it's not really acceptable, is it? Because what's more important than the Live for Life podcast?
I should drop everything and leave a voluminous message about how wonderful it is to receive a message from Angus and how grateful I am from that message and how excited I am about seeing him later.
You sound very enthusiastic. Anyway, should we crack on with the podcast?
Yes.
Today we are discussing how to never fail on your fitness journey ever again. Now, G-Dog, I guess I'm going to kick this off with a question. How did you keep failing on your fitness journey until you succeeded?
Well, before we went live, we were actually discussing this exact point because in my research, I discovered that the common reasons to quit your fitness journey, and I'll read them out, are as follows. See if they resonate at all. Overly aggressive fat loss phases, maybe involving blueberry guilt. Unrealistic body composition expectations driven by social media. All or nothing thinking. And then poor recovery.
No.
So, strangely, Angus suggested that all of those applied to me. So it's pretty astonishing. I'm not failing and quitting all the time.
Well, it is remarkable that you still have the discipline to keep going, considering you suffer with all those problems.
It's true. So when I was reading it, I was thinking, so why don't I quit, given that I do actually suffer from all of those problems? And I looked at some of the reasons that your fitness journey should be sustained and would be sustained. And I realized that actually, whilst I do suffer from all of the negatives, I also factor in all the positives as well.
Without even realizing.
Without
because
even
a lot
realizing.
of the time, you seem to pick a negative about yourself. You do.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, isn't it?
But
we were obviously having this discussion at dinner with Imran on Friday evening.
Yes.
And your body dysmorphia was really coming out, wasn't it?
I think we all have a bit of body dysmorphia.
Well, everyone
at that
does.
dinner.
Everyone does. I mean, I definitely do the least, interestingly enough. But you in particular, you just, what is the desire so much to look a certain way when actually you're in fantastic shape?
Maybe because I'm surrounding myself by people in the 20s and 30s.
Actually, it probably doesn't help that, does it? But it'll just be like halfway through dinner, he'll just be like, why don't I look like him?
Yeah. But it's true. But anyway, I think deep down inside, whether we admit it or not, we all have that emotion anyway.
Absolutely.
It's just that I'm very forward in admitting these things. But the reason that I think I did fail repeatedly in the past is all of those points. But I think I did actually have quite good recovery in the past. Now, clearly, I did get injured quite a lot. So I had running injuries because I didn't do proper leg training and just ran, and therefore repeatedly got calf injuries. I obviously had many skiing injuries over the years, and hence no ACL. And we've seen in the recent Winter Olympics, if you don't have an ACL, it's not always great. And I think also, in addition to that, I never, and this is obviously the most important thing, I never had structure. So I've only had structure in the past 7 years because of Angus. So prior to that, no structure. So if you suffer from all of those other things and then you don't have structure, then of course it's all going to go wrong. So the reason I think I'm more successful now, not more successful, completely successful now, is because I've got structure, but also because I love it. And I think in the past, I had the wrong mentality. I definitely felt in the past, I trained to lose fat. I trained with a negative mentality towards my body. And I trained with the view that the training is a means to an end, i.e. to get less fat, as opposed to the training being enjoyable in its own right. And the idea of going to the gym is something that I really look forward to. And when I speak to friends and colleagues about this, the ones that are like me totally agree. But I would say there's a very high percentage of people that go to the gym and are like, oh my God, I've got to go to the gym. And there's a lot of people that still see the gym as punishment for other things they've done, eaten too much food, not had enough exercise in other ways, etc. And I think that's the wrong attitude.
I think the big point there is the structure. I think it's okay, I need to know exactly what I'm doing in the gym environment so I know it's getting me a result. The big issue that people have is they're constantly going to the gym, and we talk about this obviously a lot, and they're just not optimizing their time in the environment. So when it's busy, they don't know any alternatives. They don't know what weights they're going to use. So they pick up the dumbbells that are often always the most popular ones, which might be the 10s, 12s, 14s. You're in a busy gym, they're always being used for things like bicep curls, lateral raises, and obviously for some people, dumbbell bench press, wherever you are on your fitness journey. So then they just feel lost. And then what's the first thing they do? Oh, treadmill. Oh, I'll go to the mats and do like a core circuit. And then they don't get the results. So your point around planning and structure is vital. But the same for diet as well. Remember, we obviously had Casper, the chief exec of Callow, on, and he said the thing that he wanted to create was to help people in that position where it's 7:30 in the evening after a long day of work. You do not stare at the food counter and make a good decision. And so that's another prime example of when you come back from holiday and you might have trained less. We obviously seem to up our training almost when we're on holiday. But for a lot of people, they've trained less, the nutrition's been all over the shop. It's hard to get back on track unless you know, right, it's fine. It's only been a week, 10 days, 2 weeks where I've just been off track. I'm straight back on it, back on the journey. And within a few days, you know it's pushing you back in the right direction. So I would say when people ask the question, how do I get in shape? You should actually ask the question, how do I stay in shape? And then copy the traits of the people who are in shape all year round, not the ones who are constantly yo-yo dieting.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I think one of the most important things about how to keep your fitness journey on track is that you need to, I think, for one element, align your fitness journey with your lifestyle. So you've got to do something that you know is sustainable in the long term, given your work, your family commitments, etc. So don't just start your training program when you're on holiday for a week, because that won't be sustainable when you're back from holiday. And also to think about what your default session would be if you're strapped for time and if you've got low energy. So therefore, even in the worst situations, you still have something you can do. Your default could be, okay, I will do a 20-minute incline treadmill walk, for example. Or I will just go down and do barbell back squats and nothing else. So just have...
Anyone who does that, I'm like, who hurt you? Like, G-Dog just goes in, sometimes does 5x5 on barbell back squats.
But seriously, I mean, when if I have a packed day at work and it's stressful, then there will be days where the only thing I do is barbell back squats, because that's a huge stress relief.
Yeah, of course it is.
If I was to go down to the office gym and just do 20 minutes on an incline treadmill, it wouldn't have nearly the same effect on my stress relief as if I did like big music on my headphones, barbell back squats for 15 minutes. So for me, getting that pump from doing a massive amount of heavy weightlifting, my colleagues, when they see me looking a little bit stressed, they'll say, G-Dog, just go, even they call me G-Dog. They'll say, G-Dog, go down and lift some heavy weights. We know you'll be fine after that.
Who doesn't call you G-Dog?
I know, literally.
I've also noticed the seating movement.
I know already, literally. We were discussing before we went live that maybe I've got to incorporate into my mobility.
It's hips.
Yeah, it's hip. I've got to incorporate into my mobility, crossing my leg like Angus.
We can also add this maybe into the programming, because I remember Barcelona last year, we had the same problem.
So true.
We were trying to take this photo, very cool photo by the beach, weren't we, at that restaurant? And you were just really struggling to, even for a photo, sit like I'm sitting right now.
Because we were getting the waitress to take the photo and she was taking a bit too long. And I was like, you've got to take it quick because my leg can't take it any longer.
So now hip mobility's got to be in the
hip
program.
mobility, yeah. I've got to do some strange yoga pose every time I go down to the gym.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's very true. But what I was going to say, your point on dumbbells in the middle of your monologue just then is quite interesting. So there will be a lot of people, and I definitely used to be like this, where you go down to the gym. I had the situation today. And say you normally do your lateral raises with 12 kilos each side. And you go down to the gym and there's 20 kilos and there's 7 kilos and no other weights. So what do you do? What I used to do is I used to stick to the program, pick up the 7 kilos each side, and do like 30 reps. Obviously, if I tried to do it with 20 kilos, I'd probably do maximum 2 reps. So I think, well, what I do is I flip my program around. I do something on the program that I can do, and then come back to that exercise later when the weights that I want are there. What is your recommendation for that situation?
So the alternative initially is try and replicate the movement elsewhere. So cables, kettlebells, they're obviously doable options for lateral raises. If they're not available as well, and you only have the 20 and the 7, you might potentially think of a different way. You can obviously work your shoulders. So you might integrate in a press, for example, overhead with the 20s, and then superset it with lateral raises. So you've pre-fatigued that muscle group. The other option with the 7s, if you're like, okay, I just want to do lateral raises, is you just have to do ridiculous tempo. So you just have to make sure that you control the eccentric phase. It might be 4 or 5 second eccentrics. And very quickly, you can still get in a good rep range of obviously kind of 8 to 14 reps by just really playing with the tempo and your technique.
That's a good answer. You're quite good, this sort of training thing, right? Because that was not a totally unprepared question. I thought I'm like throwing this question at it. Is he going to fall apart and not know the answer and say, yeah, you're right, just lift 115 reps each side? But it's actually quite a detailed response.
Why are you so surprised?
Well, I suppose it is your job, right? But it's quite good. I was quite impressed with that answer, actually.
So patronising. Do you know what's funny is one of the things I've now drilled into G-Dog. And do you know what's so amazing is I was thinking about the podcast there, and I actually spoke to someone who's signed up to coaching who is in Nashville, of all places. And the amount he knew about us and the podcast was just so cool. And it's amazing how people are so invested in the journey. But more than anything, like one of the most iconic things in America is he just couldn't get over the term bedwetter. He was just like, the fact you use that term. Because in America, apparently it's not a common term.
I think there's a lot of phrases that are not common in America, and a lot of American phrases are not common in England. So you've got to realize Americans do actually speak a different language to us.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, I think it is amazing how you guys are seeing live the fact that no matter how far along, actually, do you know what, this is interesting? No matter how far along you are along your coaching and your fitness journey, you can always do more. And it's been a really good lesson for me because you obviously are my longest serving client of nearly 8 years, which I think is quite impressive.
Crazy.
And I think for the first time ever, I had someone who, obviously you are an anomaly in the sense we have a podcast together, we're best mates, where I probably let my coaching kind of authority drop slightly purely because I had so much faith in you. And it's a good lesson for myself.
You realised that the faith was unjustified.
Yes, it's a good lesson for myself that I always need to make sure, no matter how far we get along, that I am still very much coaching you and making sure that you are being pushed on. But also how important it is, even though you've progressed so much in that time, that you can always benefit from coaching. And I think that's a lesson that I've definitely learned in the last year since I restarted working with someone, that you can never be too far along on your fitness journey to not have someone who will take you to the next level.
Well, exactly. The fact that you, as a coach, says it all. And then I look at a lot of people in my office gym and also in the gym that I go to in Fulham, that are trainers or completely jacked people, and they have coaches. So it is completely normal to have a coach. And whether it's the mate or whether it's an official sort of coaching relationship.
And that also reiterates what I said earlier about the importance of finding out how to stay in shape. And that is one of the things. We all have coaches.
Yes, exactly. But then, obviously, a lot of people can't necessarily afford to have a coach in the way that we think about it.
Absolutely.
So you can have it online, or you can have a mate who basically just
accountability partner is vital. Exactly. I really do believe that. If you are someone who can't afford to invest in a good level of coaching, then having an accountability partner, I think, is vital, because it doesn't actually have to be someone you necessarily train with. But if it's your other half, for example, I've had multiple stories where it's been clients in the past, it's been clients that I obviously work with now where the other half hasn't given that natural support. And that's often the thing that can hold people back, because if you're going to the gym and getting in great shape and the other half is sitting on the sofa, eating rubbish food and just watching TV, inevitably you might well fall into the comfortable option and go, well, I don't need to impress anyone. But if you have obviously a partner in crime there, that makes a big, big difference.
Very big difference. And then the other thing is we always discuss is what you actually do when you're in the gym, whether you have music with you, whether you've got a friend with you, whether it's structured around that meeting with the friend, that is obviously going to keep you on track. And also, I was looking at some studies. It's quite interesting, actually. The studies that I found on...
Do you know what's so amazing about this podcast? I was like, it is quite an opinion podcast, but G-Dog still has got studies.
Yeah. So I got studies into what causes habits. And one of them, so this was by University College London. The paper was How Are Habits Formed? Modeling Habit Formation in the Real World in the European Journal of Social Psychology. So quite deep. And they said the median time to reach a habit plateau is 66 days, but the range is wide from 18 days to 254 days. So you can see why people say the gym is probably going to get less crowded in the middle of February. Because if you think 30 days in a month, 66 days. So basically, as you get towards the end of February, people are getting that habit plateau and then they sort of give up. And that's underscored by University College London. And so it says habits grow gradually and non-linearly. Linearly. So missing the odd day didn't erase the progress in this study group, but consistent repetition in the same context was what built what they called automaticity. So when you automatically start doing something, and the research said that 2 to 3 months, so you're breaking that 66-day limit, 2 to 3 months of repetition starts to feel automatic. And they said the way that you can encourage that automaticity is by going to the gym at the same time or doing something. This wasn't just about the gym, it's about forming habits. So if you generally say, like me, I go to the gym at lunchtime or I go in the evening, I can't go in the morning for work reasons. Maybe you can always go in the morning, but it starts to become automatic after a while that if every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 6 a.m. you go to the gym, it starts to feel a bit weird after 3 months if you don't go. So the habit starts to form. So it's almost like in order to be successful on your fitness journey, you have to be consistent for more than 66 days for it then to become an automatic trait. You're sort of progressively overloading your brain to remain consistent. And once you've got past that plateau phase, it will just happen automatically and you'll start to really miss it if you don't.
Interesting. Because you can't miss a day.
No, I can't. So there was obviously at the very, very beginning 7 years ago where we would train on Saturday only. And then we increased that to training 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, it was Tuesday and Saturday.
Yeah.
And then you would go on your run.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we just progressively over.
Yeah, and then eventually became I was training every day. So
and now I'm literally just like on Sunday, I was like, go and do zone 2. Oh, well, I might do this. I was like, no, go and do zone 2. Did you do just zone 2?
Listen a bit ways, but mainly zone 2.
No, just listen.
It was just at the end of the session.
But what were you doing? Just pec stuff?
Yeah. How do you know that?
Because I know you do that. G-Dog. Oh, God.
It's got other cables. And just
no, I know, but just don't. You just don't need to.
Yeah.
I know you think everyone's in awe of you, but just like, and your pecs, they'll come. Okay. I've never known a man so insecure about his pec. How's the pec popping going?
See what I mean? Every time you say that, it makes me more insecure.
Yeah,
That's what the problem is.
Okay.
You keep reminding, every time you see me, the first thing you say is, how's the pec popping going?
No, it's not. Gino, how are we? How are the facts? Any other studies on there you want to share?
Yeah, well, the
with us?
final one was the World Health Organization. So they did a global recommendation on physical activity for health. This is in 2010. And as a result of that, they put guidelines out for 18 to 64-year-olds. And they said, I think we all know about it anyway. It's what we've discussed on several podcasts. And they recommended 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity, 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous intensity, aerobic activity per week, plus obviously muscle strengthening work on at least 2 days. That's the World Health Organization. And they said that level of activity substantially reduces the risk of all-cause mortality, cardiovascular risk, type 2 diabetes, cancer, depression, etc. And in order to get to that phase, you need to repeatedly do it, consistently do it, and then it starts to become automatic. So WHO repeated the conclusions of that UCL study.
I think moving on from that, is that okay if I move on from that?
Yeah, please.
Is we obviously touched on the enjoyment factor, and you spoke about things like your music choices. I think what also when it comes to the enjoyment factor is you can actually create a program you enjoy. And I think that's a big mistake people make from the get-go in times like January or whenever they start the fitness journey. They go so hard, they get really hot and sweaty, they're exhausted, and they just see exercise as this pain in their life. And every time they go, as you've mentioned earlier, it's just such an effort. When actually that effort can become enjoyment. And one of the things that I always say to clients to come on board, look, if you want to change something and you hate an exercise, you don't have to do it. And there is ways, if you want to target certain muscle groups, like we do with you, not allowed to say it, you can obviously put more load through those muscles. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, right. For example, I'm very happy with the condition of my legs. So I train legs less than you do, for example. I know you're happy with your legs, but it's just an example for me. I'm just not as bothered in progressing that as much at the moment, where I'm more focused on my shoulders and my arms, for example. So I just have more volume through those, which means that I actually enjoy the program more because I'm focusing on something I want to focus on.
Exactly. But it just struck me that we haven't spoken about me enough. And
that's a great line. That's a really do you know what? I'll give him that one. That's quite funny.
You did say on Sunday when we were doing our dog walk that we should talk about my journey a little bit more.
Yes.
Because I am someone that everyone identifies with and in many ways sort of holds up in some sort of awe as an icon.
And I'm here calling you a bedwetter.
Yes. So we should touch on what my new program is and why I've been feeling so awesome in the past 2 weeks and why I actually genuinely, in just bizarrely 2 weeks, I've seen an impact. And this is actually quite important because I'm going on holiday to Dubai at the weekend. And so although it's not quite Mykonos body ready, it's on the way. It's Dubai body ready. And I am going to feel, I think, a bit better about myself on the beach in Dubai and in the pool as a result of what I've been doing.
Well, everyone will see it.
Everyone will see it.
So it's going to be all plastered over social media for thousands of
people. So do you want to run through exactly what you've told me to do?
So interestingly enough, I was surprised, obviously, once again, that you clearly, A, hadn't been listening, and B, I had too much faith in you. So we haven't actually, from the programming perspective, changed it too much. We've just taken out the strength-focused work, the exercise, so at the start. So you're not doing the 4x5. You're just doing. Is that all right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I've written.
When you said taken out the strength.
No, we haven't. Good. But obviously, we've gone full on hypertrophy focused.
Yes.
I play with the rep range.
We always talk about this word hypertrophy, and you and I know what it is, but years and years ago I didn't. So maybe explain to the audience that doesn't know what.
No, actually, I'd like you to explain it.
Oh Christ! So my view on hypertrophy is that when you put your muscles under extreme fatigue, when you're basically pushing to failure, then you are causing micro tears in your muscles. And when those muscles do the micro tears, they're not just breaking and causing you to be injured. They are then readying themselves for growth when they repair. So it's almost like a scar that your muscles grow as they tear. So if you do not target hypertrophy, then your muscles won't grow. They will get stronger, but they won't grow. Is that correct?
That was glorious.
Wow.
I'll also summarize it, and I'll even give you ChatGPT, for example, went less. So
Really?
you went more detail. But muscle hypertrophy is the process of your muscles increasing in size. It happens when muscle fibers are exposed to stress, most commonly through resistance training, and then repair and adapt by growing thicker and stronger. So you gave a really
Literally,
scientific
I was right.
description. Oh, you bang on. That's why I was like, actually, does he know? And you, well, I was blown away by that. So well done. Well done, G-Dog.
Anyway, so now we've explained that basic stuff again. Explain the continuation about my program.
So one of the things that we obviously realized due to Dumbbell Gate was the fact that G-Dog just wasn't training hard enough. And that is what the majority of people actually aren't doing. So training intensity, funny enough, it will be out now, putting a guide together, and it's actually called the Training Properly Guide. And I was trying to think of a name, but I thought the name, I was like, actually, this is it. And the reason I've created it is because it will transform your training in a week. And people obviously want that instant gratification. So it's like, what can I do that gives people something that within a week they'll go, wow. So
people can just DM you properly.
Yeah, we'll make it as simple as DM me properly. But I'm putting together the guide. So when you're listening to this, it will already be out. So you'll be able to get access to it. And if not, just DM me properly. It actually is going to work. But honestly, the biggest change, I said to Gino, I was like, I want you training like an animal. And people will obviously laugh at that, but you have to unleash the hound that is within you.
But it worked.
It does work.
Just the phrase "train like an animal." The vision in my mind, I know exactly what it means.
Yeah, and you've got to find these like trigger things that you have, and some people will laugh at this. And to be fair, it is quite funny. But when you are doing your reps, find your thing. Like mine, for example, is just I'm whispering to myself, find another level, find another level. Like that's what I say to push myself. What is your...
Who's the effing dog?
Is it? So good. So good. But that's what I mean. You've got to find your little phrase that takes you from those 10 reps you did last week to the 12 reps the following week. And as we've spoken about in the past, if you've got 4x10, for example, you don't want to be doing 4 sets of 10. You want to be doing 10, 10, 9, 8. That's the sweet spot. If it's less than that, that's fine too. So that's obviously been the big change is the training intensity, the programming.
Also the rest periods.
Oh, interesting.
I never used to time them. So now I have the stopwatch on my phone.
Yeah, which is vital.
So this means that my muscles are more fatigued every set because I'm not allowing them to rest as much as I used to before the next thing. And so I think that is catalyzing more hypertrophy.
Absolutely. Because you're just pushing yourself harder. So having in set rest periods, again, too much faith in G-Dog. On the app is literally... So the funny thing is after every exercise now, every other client, you will have rest 60 seconds or rest 90 seconds. G-Dog has rest 90 seconds dash in capital letters, time it, exclamation mark.
But it works.
It works. So rest periods, obviously training intensity has gone up. And Nutrition. Now, we obviously did an episode on why you're in a calorie deficit and not losing fat, or quite clearly not in a calorie deficit. But do you know what's been so amazing? That episode, I've had so much feedback from clients and people who obviously listen to the podcast and go, wow, you really don't realize when you are actually over-consuming calories a lot of the time.
Blueberry Gate.
Well, that was just... What's staggering about G-Dog is like, I won't tell him any of this. And then he'll go, oh, well, I heard someone say this. And then that's gospel. I don't get it. It's like the step thing. I literally said, when you're away on holiday, do 15,000 steps a day. And you were like, isn't that bad? I just didn't get it.
Did I say that?
Well, you were just like, well, I don't need to do more than 10,000.
Yeah, exactly. Because obviously we did the study into the Japanese pedometer,
and you were like,
you only need to do 7 to 8,000. And then
like,
you get diminishing returns after that. But yeah, still, yeah.
Not true. So another thing, obviously, is...
But Friday night was interesting, though, wasn't it? Because on Friday night, Angus and I went out for dinner with Imran.
Yeah.
And Angus had chosen a restaurant that had a 7-course set menu, which wasn't really in keeping with my calorie deficit goals.
It really wasn't.
So explain how he coped with it. No.
we didn't really, did we?
No.
So,
Although the alcohol intake was reduced.
it was, yes.
So Imran only had gin and slimline tonic all night.
Yeah.
And you were critical about the fact that I had 2 glasses of red wine.
It just didn't make sense, but yeah.
So you said I should have been having gin and slimline tonic with my
Yes,
Mexican food.
Because it's half the calories and
Yeah.
way less sugar.
And then the problem is in the 7-course meal, when we debate whether it's entirely sensible to have lots of Chinese and Indian food, given the sauces in them. But in the Mexican food, there were quite a lot of sauces as well, weren't there? It was particularly high-end Mexican restaurant. I think it had 27 Michelin stars. but nevertheless, there were small portions, but lots of sauces.
Yeah.
So I think even though the small portions, each course probably was more calories.
Anyway, this episode's going on and we're talking about you and how basically you're rubbish.
Yeah, I got to get better.
Yeah. I'm going to make my last point and then I'm going to wrap it up because it's been a long episode. Okay. And I think I'm bored. So the listeners must be bored listening to you as well. So the last thing, more than anything, is you need to have an identity shift. It's that simple. You need to start believing that you are a gym person. It's like you try and believe that you do have pecs that pop, right? It's so vital you become before you become. Would you agree?
Become a peck popper before I'm a peck popper.
Kind of, yeah.
It's a great way to end the podcast.
Yeah. We need to wrap that up there fast. Guys, as always, please rate, please share, and please subscribe to the Lift Life podcast to keep G-Dog happy. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.